Yeah, you already know what it is, man. IllFam790, your social media choice. The Aunt Anderson of podcasting, Captain Broadband, no Brew Diamond Phillips, Sticky the Dragon Steamboat, Potty Piper. I'm here to podcast, Chew Bubblegum, and I'm all out of Dentine Ice. I forgot. But God's favorite podcast. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. You know me. You don't know why we're here, man. Today we have another special guest. Something a little different, something we have not done. We've talked to wrestlers, we've talked to other podcasters. I've never talked or had a conversation like this with the ring announcer, man. We got the voice of the Grapitol Region,
Yes,
Omar
sir.
Jamal. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, fam. I appreciate you. I love your intro. I just realized as you was going through that, I was like, oh, I didn't come up with anything.
Oh, no. No
I'll do
pressure.
the one thing I used to do when I used to podcast. By week grind, I week nitty bong. If anybody knows the Transformers movie, that's the Universal Greeting. I used to always do that when I had a show on podcasting and stuff. So that's my greeting to y'all, to you and to your listeners. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to uh, talk about the re-announcing the Grapitol region. It's important to me, and talk about Fight Club Pro Wrestling and this event coming up, Thriller, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, man, that I'm looking forward to that as well. You know what I'm saying? We've been having some dope conversations. There you go. We've been having some dope conversations around the event. But I have some questions for you specifically. We will get into Thriller. We'll get into Fight Club as a promotion and everything. But first, why announcing?
Uh, so it's kind of weird because it's not something like I set out to do. Like, oh, I'm gonna be a ring announcer, and I'm pretty old, so I've kind of done a lot of things in my life. Um, as recently as maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I started going to like actual shows in person, like just in the area. The mostly in Virginia. I started going to like Nova Pro Wrestling, and like sort of that's where I met Dr. D and a
Shout
few
out to
other.
Doc.
Yes, shout out to the doc. A few other local luminaries and a lot of local wrestlers that I've kind of get to know over the years. And our good friend Lolo uh, started announcing there. And I used to sit front row, and I used to be loud and cheering and booing and stuff. And after Nova Pro like had folded, and it came back as Prime Time Pro Wrestling, I was going to those shows. And talking to Lolo after, like, it was like kind of an after party at the DC9, where they worked, and just talking to them. And I just said, I'd like to help out more. I'd like to, because I'm coming to the shows. If you need me to take tickets or anything like that, they they listen to me and they go, "You ever thought about ring announcing? You have a great voice." And I'm like, "No." And I was told, if you got a suit, get a suit. Do a quick audition. And I remember my audition video. I was introducing Eel O'Neill, because that was like kind of the only wrestler I really knew in terms of like where he's from and everything else. So I kind of did him, and sent that in, and it was like, okay, we're gonna get you on the next show. Um, I didn't think that was a thing, like, oh, you can just ask and get a job or whatever. In fact, what happened was, and shout out to Ben Johannes, Ben Joe says, he was the ring announcer at Prime Time at the time, and I think he had to take some time off. His wife was expecting their first child, and so that was timely in terms of, okay, we got somebody to back you up. And that's how I came in. I came in as a backup, did a show, was nervous as hell, but it was memorable. Um, it was the International Grand Prix Tournament of Tournament Champions Invitational. See it, yeah, the IGP TTCI. I remember just rehearsing that for weeks, like, oh, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this, and I like got the cards and everything, and it was just like all that came together, and I got a lot of help. It was like a lot of tips. Lolo particularly told me, reach out to the wrestlers, DM them, let them know, you're going to be ringing out to the next show, ask them how they want their introductions, get their details, so that when you come up there, those cards and the notes you read off of, that's done ahead of time. You don't want to come in cold. And so it was a lot of preparation and a lot of just practicing, because I'm used to talking, but you know getting on a mic and getting in front of people, which it's kind of like I do it here, I do it there, but it's never like a regular thing. uh that that became a different experience, a different animal altogether. But it started to become fun. I get out there and you see the crowd, you see the reactions and everything, and you feel like you're part of the show. And that's the most what I try to do is just accentuate the performers and make them the stars. So a lot of times that's what I'm about, is like kind of selling that the wrestlers coming down, that they're menacing, or that they're the good guys or whatever. So that's how I got with that, and it was just running in those circles. Pandemic slowed a lot of things down, 'cause I was like, I'm not leaving the house. I don't care if you running the show or not. But eventually, after everyone got jabbed up and everything, was able to get back out there, and again started just going to different promotions. Worked with EWA. Thanks again to Eel O'Neill for that. Inside, and sort of that look into there, and eventually ended up at Fight Club, which is what I'm doing now, as well as a few other promotions. So that's where the voice of the Grapitol region came from too. Was like, well, they're booting wrestling out of DC proper. I even had my license, and I was just like, I had to let it lapse because we weren't running any shows.
Right.
It was like, I got to get back in there. But I feel fortunate to have opportunities at like Flying V, Fight Club, some other promotions, EWA. I've worked with them, and try to. Oh, and Assault Wrestling Alliance, I work with also out in Waldorf, Maryland. So if you want to make that drive, that's a good promotion, to check out as well. And it's just doing the same thing, starting to build up the repertoire. So I have like videos now, I have promo photos, I have things that are like, I have background that I can show that I can actually do this for your show, and
Mm.
build that confidence. So the first time I was just like, I was nervous getting in and out that ring.
Oh my gosh! So I
Yeah,
remember just the last fight event. I'm not
you could tell them
those steps was treacherous. Son.
they was
The
creep. They
steps.
was. I actually personally not prefer stairs, because at least I know I've practiced getting in the ring with them with the Stacey Adams and with the dress pants. I practice getting out that way, so
Yeah,
I
you
can
don't
grab
want
the
Papa
ropes,
seam.
get the knee, get the knee up there. With them stairs, it's like you got to trust that they're. But I saw they were shaky, so it's like I was pushing them stairs back in at the same time, trying to go up and down them and being real careful. You saw front row at the last show. I was just like, "Yo, this is straight. This is scary." And I
No,
was
I'm like, hey man, watch it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I was more concerned about the wrestlers. Like I didn't want to leave the stairs and like leave it out there, so someone comes in. But wrestlers, they jump in and out the ring from the ropes and just sliding in and stuff, man. I mean, I wish I could do a little edge sliding and stuff, but I'm not doing that with no suit on that I might have to return if it's a rental or something. I'm
Mm,
not doing it.
yeah. Yeah. So when you're getting into this, you watch you're having your first time out. Are you like going back and like watching Fink stuff, watching Gary Michael Capetta? Like, are you going back and watching who are your like go to guys? Even
Yeah.
guys maybe outside of pro wrestling, but who do you look at? Who do you kind of emulate, and what kind of makes up your style of ring announcing?
I would say Fink is the GOAT. That's like, and that was like from when I was a kid, I mean, we used to always do and new and all that stuff. So like
Ladies and gentlemen.
yes, exactly. The narrowing contest is set for one, and I love the one fall. Like some people, it depends on the promotion. Some tell you don't do it, don't you dare do it, and some are like you have to do one fall. They love that shit,
Yes.
and you notice I start doing time limit. Like I make that a big thing because they repeat everything. I like one fall time limit, so I'd like accentuate that. But yeah, even the guys nowadays that are on TV, Justin Roberts, Samantha Irvin is phenomenal. I want to
I
tell you,
Hot
you know,
take.
yeah,
I think she's the actual GOAT. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Lillian Garcia back in the day, Tony Chimmel. Like, I recall and pull up a lot of old matches, and I even keep up with like who else is out there in the indies. Um, I can tell you, I mean, it's kind of, you probably have to dig this up, but during the pandemic, people were doing their little challenges and stuff, and I'm brand new. Like, I only ring announced maybe two actual shows at the time, and I'm just like, okay, we got to stay active, whatever. Some people are working shows, some are not. And I literally asked a couple of ring announcers I knew. I want to do like a ring announcer challenge where everyone puts their suits on, put the mic in, and this was right after Fink had died, so it was like, okay, rest in peace to Fink. And that's how I got to know a lot of ring announcers in the area, and abroad too. Like, it was like all across the Indies and everything. A lot of you know names like Emil J, and I don't want Larry Legend. He took part in it.
Larry's good folk.
Yeah, so it was like, so it was great to do that. It was a great experience to learn, and it opened my eyes to who's out there and who I can watch and not really steal from, but kind of get some tips. And I have DM'd a few and said, "Hey, look, I'm about to do," but most of my advice, or most of the advice I've asked for, has been like, "Okay, well, how much money should I ask for?" Because then dealing with the promoters, it's like, okay, they'll tell you what they want to pay you, and I'm just like, okay, but now I'm starting to factor in suits cost this much, travel costs this much, so I want to make sure that I'm doing it proper, and then I'm not, as soon as it started being fun, I was like, okay, I gotta treat this like a business now. So
Yeah.
that's my mentality. Is I go up there, I try to help with the locker room, try to have fun, try to be fun, but you got to be about yours too, because otherwise you're just wasting time. And the wrestlers are professional. I try to be professional with them, and the same with the promoters and everyone else. Um, so it works out. It's too much fun though. It's like every show, you get the butterflies, but when you get out there behind the curtain and you go up there, and I feel it's a big responsibility. You got to get the crowd hype. And there's some days I'm like, I feel I'm very quiet otherwise. You see me out there and I'm just like, I'm minding my own business. And then I got to get up and be like, hey, everybody, who's ready for the show and everything. And it's just like, okay, you got to get yourself psyched up. But that's where the preparation comes in, and also being able to, change things on the fly. Um, that's been helpful. I that so like the note cards, the index cards. As a matter of fact, Amazon, I got a crap load of these. Every show I bring a bunch, and you see me with the cards, and I'll be dropping them and taking them on my jacket and everything. Backstage in the locker room, it's like a mess, because I take all the cards out of my jacket, and they're all like crumbled up pieces of paper, and it's like and my handwriting is terrible. Like,
Well,
I'm
you're a
left.
grown man. It's not supposed to be
Shout out to
good.
lefties. Yeah, I was like, well, I was going to be a doctor, so that's all I practiced was my signature, and that was it. But I'm just like, I don't need to. So it's like I can read it, but someone else, say you want to steal my cards, and like, oh, let's see what he's doing. You're not going to get no trade secrets over here, you know.
I
But it's
like
all
it.
the basics. It's a wrestler's name, where they're from, any special nicknames, or any way they want their name said. And Dino always gives me a hard time because he always has something new and different. And just certain instructions for the match, making sure I get stuff right, which is a tough thing. But see, some of the best out there have had bad moments. Like, I've always see a clip of like, oh, here's Leo Garcia messing up a thing, or here's such and such messing up a, that's what happens, and they get right back on it. It's like shooting basketball. You just gotta keep going out there and shooting. You can't stop. You can't like dwell on it, and you learn from it. So I have a book. Well, it's technically an online file. Um, oh, shout out to Savannah. Ray also a great ring announcer, commentator. I also love working with her. Um, yeah, so I have like it's a running file. Every show I do, I like mentally log. Okay, here's where I messed up, or here's where I can improve. And sometimes it's like, oh, you did this wrong. Don't do this again. So it's like certain lessons, and there's certain things you can't avoid them. So it's just getting things together. Preparation is like probably most of the job, and then just getting up there and having fun. I
The
love it.
cool thing, it's funny you say preparation because some of the coolest things I've seen you do, the times I've seen you is things you had to do on the fly. Maybe there's something going on between matches and they need you to
Yeah,
keep them going out there. And I've seen you kind of go in the crowd and interact with folks. And are you ready to see it? I've always thought that been, that's really
yeah,
dope seeing you do. The other thing that I always notice is my guy, you be sharp, you be crispy. You know what I mean? The
yeah.
suits, extra starch in the shirts, the shoes be shining. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Talk about
Yeah,
how you develop what your look is and then kind of how you maintain it because it ain't it's
it's
like
yeah.
it's singularity drip. Like you don't look like the last time we saw you when we see you the next time.
Yeah, I mean, I try to mix things up. I have repeated some, I got some jackets here. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wear this to that show. I'm gonna wear this to that show. I know already. But that was from starting out. It was, like even when the first suit I wore to primetime, that primetime pro wrestling show, the IGPTTCI. I literally walked into the mall, Springfield Town Center Mall, right here in Virginia, and it was the where they sell the prom tuxes and stuff and the dinner jackets, and I spent way too much money on that damn thing. Like I whatever money I made from that show, that paid the tax on the suit. It was a three piece. It had a vest.
Mm.
It was buttoned. It was clean. It had like the sequins and the designs, and then I bought shoes to go with it. And like the shoes are really tight. Everything is just too tight, too small now. So I couldn't even wear that suit today. And I'm just like, well, I guess this was a sunk cost. But I learned my lesson from that. Like, okay, get the look, but find a way to maintain it without breaking your bank, because you still get paid from these shows. And if they all go to suits, then what are you doing? So I have like some shortcuts I've made. I will tell you that clearance is your friend. If you go to like a department store and they got a clearance section, I've gotten some jackets because pants is usually black anyway, but I've got some jackets for the low, low, low. Like I think I walked out of one time with a jacket for like, it might have been like $15 after the
Wow.
discounts. It was like 50% off, then another 70 or whatever, and then if you're in the you got a coupon. So yeah, I was clipping. And sometimes I find something on the low on Amazon and just like, let me just get this, eh, there you go, have it shipped, ready to go. And I have no shame in saying this, but try before you buy is also friendly too, because try it, you wear it for the show, you send it right back. They don't ask no
Yeah.
questions. You take it
Right.
to Kohl's, you can take it to Whole Foods, to Amazon Fresh, with your little with your little barcode, and just send it back, as long as
Okay.
it's not messed up or stinky. So like if I gotta try before you buy, the daps, they're not gonna be like, we ain't gonna do no tight daps if you sweating and stuff. I'm sorry to the boys in the back, but that's just not gonna happen. I gotta send it
That's
back
when you
to,
go from this dap like this
yeah,
to
Christian
this
side
dap
hug.
like this.
Yes, yeah.
Mm. You
Good
get
good
the
job out there.
extend. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
my
appreciate
man. All right. You lock out. You got to lock out instead of bringing them in.
let
You
me go
lock out like,
change first, and we
yeah.
can we can hug it out afterward. But it's just different things that you have to find a way to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, but part of that is who I learned from, in terms of ring announcing, and knowing people have different looks. So I didn't want to steal anyone's look or anything, but I didn't want to like kind of just show up there in street clothes, which, I mean, no knock on anybody, because I know some people, some announcers do that, but I'm just like, that can't be me. Like I can't do that. The most I've done is like an open collar shirt with no tie, and that was, I think that show, I wasn't in the ring. Like there was something with the sound. It was a Fight Club show, and they was like, well, you got to do this from ringside. I was like, well, if I got to do this from ringside, I'm not wearing the suit that I was going to wear in the ring. I'm gonna wear this other suit and just
Right.
kick it over here on the sidelines, But I still got photos and everything. That's the other thing too is, if you have a good photographer like Jay Lee out there, you got to get
Oh, they kill
promos.
it.
So I always carry or bring at least a backup suit, or sometimes two or three. Like you'll see me coming with the garment bag, and it's like I got this for this for this, at least 3 jackets, 2 pair of pants. And that's just, being prepared, because you never know if something do rip, I got to go backstage and get something else. I got to do it, so that's just all it is.
Sounds like that Steve Harvey meme, the Steve Harvey video, where you got to have 3 pair of pants. You got to have one gray,
Yeah.
one black, and a powder blue shirt. Nah. All
Hmm.
right, Steve, you
Yeah.
doing too much. You got more suit pieces
Yeah.
than you got ex-wives.
But that's
No,
also
so
that's also, I make this point. That's also like kind of the thing they tell wrestlers is always be ready. So like,
mhm.
if you are not working a show, like you're not on the card, you're not on the lineup, but you're a wrestler. Um, who knows? You show up to a show to say support your friends or whatever. They might need you for a match that day. So if you got your boots and your gear and in the car, you can come out there, tape up your wrists, and get out there ready to go. I've done that. I've never actually had to do that for a show, but I've gone to shows where I've just like, I'm sitting in the crowd, I'm chilling, but I got my suit in the car outside. So
You never
say
know.
something happen, you never know, something could happen. Ring announcer could walk off, something, anything, or they might say, "Hey, we need somebody to walk somebody down to the ring, whatever." Hell, I'll do it. I'm ready to go. So that's kind of my mentality with shows. Period. It's like just be ready to go.
So before we leave out of this area, the dress up area, I want to talk about something that I love to talk about in my personal life, not none of this wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
So when a grown man gets suited and booted like that, there's some, you know what I mean, there's some grooming things brothers do. We are both proud members of Beard Gang. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Um, the one thing that I know is key to if I'm stepping out to my repertoire, no matter if it's casual, dressed up, suited and booted, I have an amazing scent,
hmm,
right? I'm throwing on a scent. What are some of your favorite scents to kind of go along with you throwing a suit on? What do
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
It varies. I got some nice colognes. I got some Paco Rabanne, some Bulgari. Sometimes if I just do oils, like some essential oils, whatever. Just put it in the right spots or whatever. So some scented oils. My lady got me something. It's like Lotus Spice Bomb or something. That was like,
Victor and
it,
Rolf Spice Bomb.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's like a
that's what it is.
grenade.
That's
Hmm.
what it is, because the spray, the small spray, is in the bag that I got left in Jersey when I was telling you before the show. But
Okay.
I got the big bomb piece. That's still here, like, because I kind of, but so they're apart. But I still got that. I'll probably be wearing that to the next show because that's more of a fall scent. So it's like
Yes.
just different things. I try not to do too much though, because you're coming in and out the ring. You're with the wrestlers and everything. A lot of times you're sharing space with the ref. You don't want to be too overpowering. And next thing you know,
Correct.
Nick Chin is like, kind of wiping his nose and sprinkling up, because you kind of strong. So you don't want to bathe in it. Just kind of do a little
Yeah.
spritz. You be fresh, because you're gonna be, if you might be dapping up the crowd or anything, you don't want to be funky either. So it's a balance. I mean, sometimes I wear a watch, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have my phone on me, sometimes I put it. It's like I learned certain things, like, okay, I'm not gonna have my keys and my wallet on me while I'm in the ring doing this, because something might fall out or whatever. So not as much stuff in the pockets. um you know I have some lucky socks I wear, so it's like I almost always wear the same purple socks underneath. It's like
Is
small.
that the purple stuff?
That might be the purple stuff. So the name is from the Sunny D commercial.
Yes.
That's really. But also the OJ thing. My actual name is Jamal Omar, my first and middle name. I just flipped it for the ring announcing, and I thought, well, OJ's kind of good. The last show I did in Jersey, I got up there. I was like, "Hi, I'm Omar. What's up, everybody? I'm Omar Jamal. You can call me OJ." Yes, right, I did it. And then just went into the show, and some people were like, "Yeah," and some people were like, "What?" By the end of the show, like kind of the end of the night, and it was taping, so it was like 3 shows in a row. They were chanting OJ, OJ. I was like, "What?" This is the
Hey,
first time I got
listen,
a chant.
they're letting the other OJ talk
Yeah,
on the internet every week now. With what it is, what it is. So it
yeah.
is what it is, man.
He
I think
complicated.
that's
I'm working. I'm working.
yeah.
He's not. So
Yeah. So the voice of the Grapitol Region. Talk about what the Grapitol Region means to you as far as this business, and also Fight Club the promotion. Talk about them and what they do and what's different and special about them.
All right, so the Grapple region is kind of, again, watching wrestling live. Other than going to like an old WWF or WWE event back in the day, like you go to the. I've been to the Garden once or twice. I've been to like a show in Jersey, but always used to watch it on TV. So the last few years, I was like, I want to see wrestling, and I know there's wrestling out here. Friends told me that there's like indie shows. There's like live, and this was before AEW and while WWE was still running hard, but you didn't have too many wrestling, too many spaces. But I wanted to see up close actual wrestling, like kind of see it, you know, as an audience member, and it didn't have to be a big show. So starting in Virginia and then starting to go to the different shows in the area, I got to really get to know the scene and get to know some of the performers. You start to see the same people regularly. You start to see your Eel O'Neills. I remember Jonathan Gresham used to be out here a lot. Logan Easton LaRoe. This Jordan Blade. So it's like you start to see the same people. Kind of just in that region, and I got that feel that they used to have with the territories in terms of, okay, you're going to be out here, but you come here, you definitely going to get a show. You're going to get these wrestlers in your face. And, they move around too. Like, shout out to the Goons, Andino, shout out to Pure Ignorance. They move around, but they also are centralized because this is their home base. This is kind of where they, kind of butter their bread. So that's when all the things were happening over the years with, different promotions. So it was, Nova Pro came and went, and then it was Primetime Pro Wrestling came and went, and then Pro Wrestling Vibe came and went, and that was kind of like I would say that was kind of like the last straw, because again, what those last two promotions I mentioned, they had to deal with that DC Athletic Commission, which I don't want to just paint them as the villain, but I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, So it was like so many difficulties with that. Um, it became apparent that we needed to keep the scene going out here in this area, because DC can get wrestling again soon, independent wrestling again. But even at the time, it was like, okay, well, Fight Club has always been running strong, and I will admit I had not been like up front at the Fight Club shows. I've kind of seen them and seen like kind of, oh yeah, they're running something. Usually it's like I want to go, and things didn't line up or whatever. But I've always been like kind of like, oh, I got to check them out too, And I remember meeting Johnny years ago. Might have been at a Flying V show, and he was telling me about Fight Club, and he had the belt with him, the Pan African World Diaspora Wrestling Championship. And I was just like looking at it, it's like, that's kind of a dope belt. But I was kind of hearing him, but I was still like kind of like, I'm barely knowing what's going on out here. So I'm, good luck, but I don't even know what. So I didn't make the connection like, oh yeah, I talked to him years ago about this. I didn't even know that. It was kind of just, randomly at some after party. And I've talked to other, promoters and people around here, just kind of just getting a feel for what they're trying to do. And you start to get a feel for a love of the scene, So I mentioned a lot of wrestlers, but there's a lot of like fans, a lot of people that are like great supporters, that, I vibe with them too. So that's kind of where it came from in terms of saying, okay, the Grapitol region, and that's not my term. That's just what we started calling it. I remember, I think Lolo was the first person I heard say it, or could have been like someone else at primetime. But that's what we have to continue to foster in the DC area, the greater DC area, I should say, because that's where it's centered around. Because if it comes back to DC itself, to the Chocolate City, then we're back in business. But we out in Cheverly, Maryland, we're out in Silver Spring, we're out in different sort of pockets to make sure that you come to this territory, you come to this region, that we're going to get some good wrestling, good performers. And Fight Club being you know black owned, Afrocentric, sort of being about us, that is that's I mean that's tops right there. That's number one. Because we put on a good show, we show out, the music's always fire, the performances are great, and it's family. Whether I think I heard on one of your previous shows, it was like it don't matter if you're Shaquem or you're Chad or you're Becky, you could come up there and have a good time. You will be accepted. You will be, welcome. But just know that this is some black stuff happening right here. And this is how this is how we get down. And just come and join the party and just come be a part of it. Because I mean, you feel welcome. I've been to shows as a audience member. I've been to shows as a performer, and both times I just feel satisfied when I leave. You feel like you get your money's worth. So,
Yeah, man. Every time, man, and the Crown Royal is reasonably priced there, which I love personally. But no, listen, it's a really good time. What matches on a card really are speaking to you? I know
me.
there's one particular for me, but we can
Mhm.
get into that. But what are you looking forward to on this card?
All right, I'm gonna start with the Haas fight. I love a good Haas fight, and Tiberius Ashanti, the man monster. Uh, he's just impressive, impeccable. He's got a he fought O'Shea Edwards at the last show.
Yeah.
Had an incredible showing against him, and so he's got a big challenge because he's up against Gabriel Kai, from Sasebo, Japan. That's going to be a good one because both of them have been like basically just shattering skulls and rattling bones up and down Fight Club. So I feel like head to head that might be a show stealer. Um, the Andino, the Chocolate City climb.
That's the one I'm looking forward to.
I am too, for a variety of reasons. Andino's been kind of just. I mean, he's been. I won't say out of control. I don't want. That's the thing too. I gotta be objective because I'm in the ring with these people and introducing them. I don't want nobody saying, "Oh, you be talking about me," but at the same time, I'm just like, you've seen it. He's giving everybody a hard time, including myself. So, I mean, I just kind of got to see this play out. So I will be definitely watching that intently, and of course, all the challengers in that Chocolate City climb. You got DK Vandu, who's got a claim that he might be the rightful champion. You got
Mhm.
Jordan Blade, who always brings it. Who personally is my favorite to introduce. I've got some faves that I'm like, oh yeah, I love introducing, but Jordan Blade is like, I don't know. It's the whole from fighting out of Mongrel Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Richmond, Virginia. Like I just get really hyped for that.
Big
Um,
VA. I hate.
yeah, that's what it is. And so you got Saul Esparza
Mhm.
is in there.
Great worker.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike Thunder from I mean, you got some heavy hitters, and
Mhm.
I feel like they keep adding names to this thing, like more competitors
Yeah.
to it. So I mean, I don't know. He might go. It might be a 5-way, 6-way, 7-way. By the time we get to it, I might have to read it off of like a book of cards or something. Like introducing next. You know, um,
Yeah, man. I got my front row seat. I'm like,
mhm.
man, I don't know if I should have bought a front row for that one, boy. It's gonna be madness out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give people a warning, like, hey, if you're in the front, row, just be careful. Things might happen here. So, just don't get too don't get too comfy.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously the main event, which has now expanded to, Trisha Dora has basically held it down in for Fight Club and with the Pan African World Diaspora Wrestling Championship for I mean, she definitely had passed 1,000. I got to check out the days because I have to introduce her, which is
Mhm.
also a thrill. Because I get to say Anacostia in Washington D.C. Like no one says Anacostia is like when she comes home. No, we talk
Mhm.
about where she's from.
All
Um,
mothers.
yeah, Shug D, who's well traveled. He's got a right to claim, and then Darius Carter back in the mix.
Listen.
So that triple threat. Uh, after that match that they had the last time, going the distance with the time limit
Mhm.
draw, on a last fighter standing match, which I that was a mistake I made too at the end. I was just like, the winner, there is no winner, because I was just like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize what was happening. I was like, it's a draw. I'm just sitting there like, who won? what? I was as confused as everyone else, and it's like, and you sit on the ringside, and you're like, here is your winner, and it's like that was a brain fart, and it's like, so there's certain things I gotta make sure I'm on top of. Mr. Grimm, facing off against Myron Reed, that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be something. Mr. Grimm also, kind of just been running crazy through this region. I've seen him in different promotions and of course at Fight Club, but Myron Reed is brand new to the to Fight Club, so making his debut and everything, that's gonna be interesting. And then Elo Neal versus Prolific Moses. I don't know if they've ever squared off, but I mean that's gonna be another banger. And then we can't forget our boys Pure Ignorance. They are on the card too. They got something happening. They got I gotta read the team name because I know
Some
you.
beef off of social media. They got their beef in and
Oh yeah.
online. The
Yeah,
Prince got going crazy online. Yeah, man.
yeah,
I like it because it's so like there's builds. Some of the things are just like hoss matches. Some things have like super history. It's like it's a great combination, a great show build to just something that we listen, it's always a fun time. I can't
yeah.
wait. What are you expecting crowd wise? Like what are you looking forward to being able to do while during Thriller, during the big event here?
So the one thing that Johnny mentioned was that there's going to be a costume contest. I mean, it's spooky season. Here we are in October.
Mhm.
It's a good time to get dressed up and everything. So hopefully we see some good costumes out in the crowd. I want to see some ghouls, some ghosts, some cosplays. I know there's some cosplayers, some BlurredCon folk out there, some people that dusted off, put it back on again, and let's see you out there.
Yeah.
But I want to, at the American Legion out there in Cheverly, which is a good spot. It's got a lot of seats, a lot of space, and everything, and it's kind of a really unique place where they have the ring and the seating and everything. But you really get to be a part of the show. So hopefully it's a sellout. It might be standing room only, might be sweaty. Hopefully they put them fans on up there because I sweat easy. That's the other thing too. I'm like, damn, man, I sweat too easy. But
What I
I'm
learned
hoping
is
that
is because
all the wall.
once you hit them with these, right, when you got the
Yeah,
the clean one, it's more surface area to sweat.
yeah.
So it's like I don't know, man. It's something
I'm at
about
the, you wear the pocket square. I gotta have to pull that out or have one ready to go. Or sometimes I got the washcloth and I just kind of do that in between.
yeah,
But as long as it's not like as long as it's not like leaving any like particles, I'll be okay.
yeah,
But that's a good problem to have. I hope it is a sweat box in there. I hope it's like a sellout. I think from the fans that come regularly and the word of mouth getting out that we have a smash event, that is something that you can't miss. I think we are going to be wall to wall. I'm looking forward to that. But the costumes, yeah, I definitely want to see who gets decked out. My lady, she actually will be there front row too, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I want to be in the cosplay contest." I was like, "Baby, technically, I don't think you could win because I worked there." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "Well, we ain't married yet." So I'm like, I
outstanding.
don't, I don't know. You could talk that over with management. If you win, I mean, I'm gonna look the other way. I'm like, I don't know who that is. But I like to see the competitiveness of our crowd, our audience, and I think the wrestlers are gonna have some great looks too. So I mean, you can't lose, man. It's gonna be a good show, good Sunday, a good birthday week for me. In fact, I got a birthday. The show's the 15th, and my birthday is the 17th. So I'm gonna be basically just living life, loving everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's up, man. It's definitely up. Listen, before we get out of here, in your best voice of the Grapitol Region voice, let the folks know how they can get at you on all social media and
Hmm.
talk them into the building.
Okay. Well, you're listening to Omar Jamal, aka OJ Purple Stuff, the voice of the Grapitol region, and we are going to have a fantastic show at Fight Club Pro Wrestling. We are going to be live with Thriller emanating out of the American Legion. That is 3608 Legion Road in Cheverly, Maryland. We have a fantastic lineup of matches, including the Pan African World Diaspora Championship being defended by Trish Adora, the reigning champion, in a triple threat versus Shug D and Darius Carter. Both feel they have a right to the belt, but Trish has been holding it down, so we got to see that. We also have to check out uh, uh, Andino, who is the Chocolate City champion, who he's got a massive task ahead of him. He's got to go up against I think it's 5 competitors now in the Chocolate City climb. So the winner has to climb a ladder for that. Fantastic card, up and down, and you cannot miss this. If you can, tickets are still on sale. Check them out. Fight Club Pro Wrestling, PAWD_WC is how you find them on all social media. Find me on social media at OJ_purple stuff. And of course, keep checking out the Black Wrestling Podcast. That's where we keep it locked, we keep it loaded, we keep it fire. That's what we do. And it's one fall, and it's with no limit, no time limit whatsoever. We are out here. So please check us out. Keep it going. We're going to see you at the show.
Man, it should be great. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for doing this, man. And just so the folks can get a visual, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh,
this is what you do right here. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean? If you need to see my man, he's got everything. He's got the resume there. He's suited and booted. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
shout
man,
out to Brian F Pro for that graphic, man. I mean, I take advantage and try to make sure I connect with all of our people that's talented. You know, I mean, he said he was doing promo graphics and stuff for wrestlers. I was like, hey, can you do one for me? And I mean, worth the money, man. I even had to go back and add some more, medallions or logos to it. But it's a good look. You know, I appreciate everybody in this area and everybody.
He did a real. Brian F did a dope graphic with all the podcasts of color thing, and he included us in it, and I appreciate him, man. That's dope, man. I appreciate y'all once again, man. IlFam 790 is social media choice at Black Wrestling every Thursday night, 8:35 live, man. We will see y'all next time, and we will see y'all at Thriller, man. We out. Peace.
Yeah.